to Discord if you guys would like to follow along with me. If not, I'm about to get started pretty soon, probably like right now. So, welcome to Threat Hunting with Splunk, presented by me, Ivan Tang, part of BergCyberSec. Woo! Yay! Hello. So, like I said, my name is Ivan Tang. I have a BS in computer science with a minor in information assurance. I am currently pursuing an MS in information systems. I am currently a cybercore scholar, and I was also a founder of BergCyberSec, where I was ex-vice president. I'm the vice president last year, so ex. I was the treasurer when we first founded the club. Probably did not get any money, but you know, it is what it is.
Bro is bro.
For work experience, I was an IT specialist at the Office of Inspector General, Health and Human Services, where I assisted with audits. I was again, help desk technician / assistant system administrations at URJ, where our secretary, I believe, no, vice president, Kevin, is working. I was also help desk at Pace, so I think you're working there now?
I was at that time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They don't care, really.
They don't. They were like, please come back though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have more time next
no
semester,
staff.
yeah, if you have more time next semester,
Yeah.
they're dope. They're dope. I love them.
They're nice people, really nice.
Nice people. I love Alfred. And the last bullet, little fun fact. We're gonna ignore it. All right. So, what is threat hunting? Who would like to give a general overview on their definition of threat hunting? Anybody? Anybody would like to try? Okay,
I think
cool.
threat hunting is employing different monitoring techniques and software to map like certain behaviors and identify like threat actors.
Okay.
Is it an advanced IDS?
Essentially, but with that there comes you can do it manually or automated, like what Tristan was saying with tools. So threat hunting is a keyword in threat hunting is proactive. That is the major buzzword for threat hunting because you're proactively searching for malware or threat actors. So with threat hunting, you're trying to locate indicators of compromise, which are pieces of forensic data, such as data found in system log entries or files that identify potentially malicious activity on a system or network. All right, so moving on. Having antivirus simply isn't enough. This is due to the fact that antivirus only searches for known vulnerabilities and malware. So with threat hunting, you're able to stop advanced persistent threats early in their tracks, by mapping through behaviors and using tools like Tristan said, again. So a basic organization security setup would often consist of automated blocking and monitoring tools. These consist of firewalls, antivirus, endpoint management, network packet captures, and security information and event management, which is CM. A basic organization would utilize all of these, as well as threat intelligent resources to gather like known IP addresses that are malicious, malware hashes. A good website for that is actually a Virus Total, where you could search up hashes of files and whatnot to see like what vendors would come out with. It gives you like a virus count, basically, essentially. And like mentioned before, indicators of compromise. Oftentimes, threat intelligent resources would share their IOCs or proof of concepts for these, and it consists of many more. And that's just a basic organization security set. So, moving on. What is Splunk? I have a nice little diagram of what Splunk would do. So Splunk is a tool used to search, analyze, and visualize the machine-generated data gathered from the websites, applications, sensors, devices, etc. So usually with Splunk, it would gather data from sensors put into endpoints, right? So these sensors can be fine-tuned to develop a baseline, and it would highlight anomalies, essentially. So with Splunk, it's cloud-based, and it has a web interface, which makes data more accessible and actionable. What that means is, since you can access this anywhere, you're able to respond to these events at any given time, which is fun. Splunk also includes automated tools for analysis. It enriches data with context and threat intel to find patterns and relationships. And it also has search and visualization relationships for faster hunting. So in this triangle, you could see like the data is getting, you're able to search and visualize, enrich, and automate. You know, that's why it's a triangle. So important internal data that Splunk would often include are IP addresses from threat intelligence resources, blacklisted IPs, whitelisted IPs, network artifacts and patterns, which include network flow, packet captures, active network connections, historic network connections, ports, and services. These include like what's open and not really what's closed. So DNS activity is also important for queries, response, zone transfer activities, as well as endpoint data, which has host artifacts and patterns, which includes like the usernames, the processes that are running, the services that are running, drivers, files, etc. Like what you see, you can read. It's not really gonna go further. This very special important one is file monitoring, which shows like creation or deletion of files. Again, this is based off like what data you're feeding the sensors to Splunk that will capture. So here are typical data sources that Splunk could capture. There's the threat intelligence, network, endpoint, and access and identity stuff. So you could go over this on your own time if you want, but it's pretty self-explanatory again. I don't think I need to go much further into it. So, Splunk Search Processing Language, also known as SPL. Once you start learning Splunk, you're gonna know to make queries in SPL. So Splunk is SPL is a language containing many commands, functions, arguments, etc. So the search terms are keywords or phrases you are looking for. Commands are actions you want to take on the result. Functions are what computations you are going to apply on the result. And clauses are how to group or rename the fields in the result set. So these all apply.
Is this how you make sensors?
No, you fine tune the sensors based off like your logging, what you want to log.
So the sensors are built in?
Not really, because you have to have a sensor for your organization per se. Like let's say, a sensor example I would use is Endgame.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with Endgame.
No, never use it.
It's like a IDS, IPS kind of thing. It's like web-based again. So it logs like event IDs, etc., like anomalies.
Okay.
And then based off that information, you would go to Splunk and then find it. Because Splunk is used to index and query a lot more efficiently than you could on Endgame or something like that. A fun fact about that is 80% of anomalies are usually found by IDS, IPSs, and 20% are manually found through threat hunting. So use that as you will. Proactive again, 100% of the time, basically, if that makes sense. So these sensors are, it's important to identify like a baseline so you don't keep getting like false positives, essentially. So SPL is only used to query on Splunk, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So think of like SQL, how you could create a database and then you could use SQL to query through it. That's what essentially SPL is. Make sense?
Yes.
Everybody got that? Yes, boss. So, moving on. Your best friend while learning Splunk, the documentation. Anything you might not know, Splunk documentation will have, most likely, because their documentation is pretty fire. Not for nothing. Like, you could see all these search commands they have. Like, if you don't know what anything does, you could use that table and just search up what it does. So like at any given moment, when you don't know what a command irun does, you could look on the search commands. Most likely I will tell you, but just in case you don't, you could search it up, or you could do it on your free time, you know? Have fun with it. Go crazy. Cause the instance I'm gonna have you log in, you guys could use after this class too, to like practice yourselves. I only go through like the first 10 challenges. You guys, there's up to like 30 or something. You know, use it as you will. There's also like forums you could use to ask like Splunk professionals. I don't know if they'll respond fast, but you know, they're good. They're good as well in helping you develop SPL queries.
Splunk also offers a free class.
Splunk also offers a free class. And with this data set, if you download the enterprise version, you're able to use their data set for free and have enterprise for free. You can't use it like any other situation where you want to. So here is the login information. If you want, you could copy and paste it into your URL, and you should get into something like this. You should see something like this. This is like the home dashboard.
Can you put the link back up, sir?
Okay, sir.
I would like to navigate to the URL.
You could copy pasta since I put it in the Discord, but you know, whatever's easier. Whatever's easier. Here, I'll do it again with you guys.
I've reached it.
So once you put it here, you're gonna have something like this. So you would see its purpose is to practice threat hunting using the boss of the SOC, bots v2 dataset. The dataset is usually used in like at SplunkCon, I believe, where they host a CTF like challenge to find malicious events within this dataset. I know on their GitHub they have 2 versions of this dataset. One is the full version, which is like 14 gigs. The other one is like just malicious activity, which is like 2 gigs. So if you need space, whatever, big difference. So there's 2 options you can use to sign in. You could use either this one or this one. I don't think it really matters. I don't think Splunk kicks you off or slows down if multiple people are on one link. And there's only like at most 10 of us here, so I don't think it's gonna affect it that much. So moving on, you should see this dashboard, and we're gonna go to search and reporting. This is the dashboard. First of all.
I have to log in.
Oh, you have to log in?
Yeah.
If you click here, it says login as student 1 with password student 1.
Oh, I didn't even read that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Reading is key.
No, sorry.
It's okay, dude. Okay, so again, you're gonna see this homepage, and we're gonna go straight to search and reporting. 'Cause, you know, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna search for these malicious events. All right? Is everybody here? Okay, moving on. So, the first thing we would like to do in our search queries or SPL, we like to specify an index, because on multiple occasions there are multiple indexes where you could get information from or data from. Oh.
Sorry, how did you get there?
If you're on the home page, you click here. Did you log in?
Log in.
Yeah.
Like with my data set?
No. If you click this link and then it says to get past basic authentication, log in with student 1 with the password of student 1.
Okay,
Are you in?
I'm in.
Sounds good. All right, and then next we're gonna go to search and reporting. It's one of Splunk's default apps, which is what we're gonna use to query through the data set.
Thank you.
Of course. So, moving on again. As I mentioned before, first thing usually with queries you make is to specify an index, because on multiple occasions there are multiple data sets you could pull information from. This makes it more efficient. You know, if you have sensors on one organization compared to another, you know, very vital. An example of this would be how for OIG we had, I know I'm not supposed to say it, but whatever.
Just like
There's-
silence this part of the video.
You can, it doesn't matter.
It's
We're not gonna watch
gonna be
it.
cut out in post.
They provide overview of multiple different agencies. Like, I'm pretty sure I could say that. Like FDA, CDC, Indian Health Services. You guys know FDA, CDC, stuff like that. So what we do is we collect, based off our sensors in the organization, we can collect data from their endpoints and
Well-
specify it as their index. Yeah.
Wait, where do you work?
I used to work Office of Inspector General, Department of Health and Human Services.
Whoa.
Did like audits on ACF, you know, all the ICE stuff, shit. Whatever.
Whoa.
So moving on, we're gonna do bots V2 because that's our index, right? This is the data set, bots V2. All right. And this should, it's gonna mention like a lot of stuff. So we could set our time is our next step. So earliest equals to 0. Or if you put a time that earliest equals to 0, it like supersedes this right here. You see that last 24 hours at the end? Like this will parse through the bots v2 from its beginning of times, and it would retrieve all the events matched. So that's not all of it. It might be taking a bit longer because there might be more people on it. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure that's not the case, but if that's the case, I'm gonna use this one. Oh no, I lied. I'm not using that one. So that's the first step. And then with that, we could go straight into what's up?
So what this is doing right now is going through every single event within bots v2
Yep.
from the beginning of. Okay, great. That's how it just.
So if you scroll down, these are searching through events. These are like event IDs. Like you would see it as raw right now. So, raw. But these are pulling off. These are pulling off machine data, right? You're seeing like information you would see in not like a good way. Am I right? You don't want to see this stuff. So especially in this way. So you could see like timestamps, stuff like that in that nature. It takes up a lot of like events. A good way to like view things instead is to do it as a list. Makes it more compact. Accept, bytes in, bytes out. Content type. Destination content. MD5 hash, stuff like that, and then you can see a destination header. You know, if you scroll through it, it gets interesting, I guess. What's up, dude?
So like when you pull events from like a sensor, does that sensor, so like are there dedicated sensors for like network traffic, wireless traffic, and just like kind of like regular system events, or are all of those events included in one sensor?
Most are included on one sensor, but like I said before, you could fine tune the sensor to say what you want to ingest. So the more stuff you ingest, the more you're gonna have to pay, essentially, through AWS or whatever is hosting your data. So I believe it ingests a lot. So you gotta be careful. But since we're working with bots v2, we should be fine. I'm talking about like in an organization perspective, it is vital to know how much you're ingesting and like to fine tune the sensor based off like what you want to ingest. Because you could go through certain false positives and you know that's no good. All right, does that answer your question?
Yes, that was a fantastic answer.
Okay, yeah. You could also include like network packet sensors as well. Yeah.
So you mentioned that we have one free thing. Why is this, like, we're searching through 300,000 sensors, or sorry, events, all of us at one time, and how is this free?
How is it free?
Yeah.
Splunk offers it for free. I don't know.
just bots v2, okay.
Yeah. There's the bots v1 dataset, bots v2 dataset, and like Brandon mentioned, there's the free classes that they offer. So I guess they want to allow people to learn Splunk,
You know, they can buy it.
yeah, or learn it for their organization.
Right.
In a sense, you know, they don't have to buy it automatically, but Splunk is a great tool that is widely used in the industry right now. So like in government agencies or SOCs. SOCs, you would use Splunk to query data and find out certain events with like malicious activity, like what we're gonna do, right? So like I mentioned before, usually they would get something triggered by like an IDS, IPS that they would see. For those who don't know what IDS or IPS is, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system. So these usually trigger events, and you could just search through and like find that specific activity. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Or search through whatever you need to see. And that is good. That helps you go back to that endpoint or like identify a specific endpoint or user or what malicious login times, for example, stuff like that you could do with Splunk. So since we already have this, we can move on to the questions or challenges, for example. That really, the challenges will help us lead into this, if that makes sense, because it's kind of hard to just have fun with it without knowing what you want to do. If that makes sense to you guys. Does it make sense? All right, moving on. So if you scroll down over here, you would see selected fields. I have a few selected fields, or someone else has a few selected, because we're all in the same one. You would see source and source type. These are often like the default ones that are selected. If you hit source type, these are like top 10 values. You can see like what you want to see. So I'm gonna describe what a source type is now. So a source type is a default field that identifies the data structure of an event. A source type determines how Splunk Enterprise formats the data during the indexing process. This screenshot right over here is not like accurate for like what you would see on that main one, because I ran a query first and then I hit source type. So when you run it, it depends on like the query you're running that you can see like what kind of source type you want. So like let's say I type in this same query and then I add a website to it. After I add a website, you would have these specific source types, because you could stream HTTP, which stream is a Splunk tool to monitor live network data, right? So if you're streaming for only HTTP data, you would only see that. So you would only view source types of that nature. You know, does that make sense? All right. So moving on, Suricata is an open source IDS. Windows event logs are included in all Windows systems. So then you could just parse through event logs. There's also Windows registry. I can't speak right now. Windows registry events, which are important events related to software installation and configuration changes. If you're familiar with registry, you know it logs like all these changes you make, right? So it goes 0, 1, downloads, anything, realistically. So if you go back over here, let's ignore that, you would see something like source as well. So what is the difference between a source and a source type? Is that a source and a source type are both default fields, right? But they are entirely different and can easily be confused. So the source is the name of the file, stream, or input from which a particular event originates, whereas the source type determines how Splunk processes the incoming data into individual events according to the nature of the events. So does that make sense to you guys, or? Yeah.
So this source and source type are in reference of how Splunk views it, not the actual thing itself. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
So, events with the same source type can come from different sources. Let's say a syslog or any type of log, for example. So the source type can come from that. But the source is usually from a single destination. Get it? Make sense? Clear? All right, so moving on. We could go straight to question 1 now. So question 1 is, Amber Turing was hoping for Frothley, her beer company, to be acquired by a potential competitor, which fell through, but visited their website to find contact information for their executive team. What is the website domain that she visited? So I have the hints enabled for this one, you know, just for learning purposes. For the next few challenges, they're gonna be obfuscated. You could go uncover them if you need them. But for now, since I'm working with you with this one, we're gonna look through this. So, the hints say search for index equals box v2, earliest equals 0, Amber. So, what this query is doing is we're searching the user with Amber, or any events with Amber related. And you should find a lot. Alright? So, moving on, examine the client IP field to find Amber's IP address. So why would we want to find Amber's IP address? Based off this question. What's up?
She visited the website and there should be a index of her IP when she visited it.
Yes,
The
there
user.
should be a destination and source IP address.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Couldn't speak.
You said exactly that, heard you? So,
Words.
instead of like, you could look through all of these, but there's a lot of events. So, a nice way to do it is just to look through interesting fields. You know,
Is there a way to search in the top just for destination IP?
Not on the top per se, but if you use these interesting fields,
Oh, I found it. Okay, cool. I mean, I
Okay.
can just literally read.
you want to use. If you look back at the hints, you could see that you want to find her source IP, right? Not destination IP.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you want to look through the websites that she visited, so you would use her source IP and to see what she visited. So you could scroll down through interesting fields and you could find source IP, and there is a bunch of stuff, right? So we're gonna try and find her correct IP, right? Now that's fine. How would you try and go about finding it?
Client IP?
Correct! Client IP. So you would see this is her client IP. And then if you just hit it, you would see that it just goes client IP, right? Instead of just having that, you want to do source IP. Does that make sense to everybody why we switched to client to source? Okay. Now we're clicking source IP. So, you would see it like this, but let's try tabling it. We're gonna table it for a second, and we could type like, you could, for the table, you would see like these instances, for example. But if you type in more, if you select more selected fields, it would pop up on the table. But for our case, we're gonna keep it on list, and then we could, if we go back over here, restrict this query to the stream HTTP source type, right? So where would we click next? If we want to restrict our source type.
Add it in the search field.
Or you could do that, or you could just hit what type of source type is available. You could see like these type of traffics, right? So you would do source type equals to stream HTTP quotations. So as you get better with it, you could type it in easily, but I usually find it easier just to hit like whatever. You could get rid of Amber here because we already found her IP address, and then you should find some events. Does that make sense? Why we got rid of Amber?
They're trying to save as much money as possible.
Because it was redundant, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing. So another command that you could write, or you could pipe actually, because with Splunk SPL, you could keep piping in commands as necessary. So if we go through this information, just like this, right? You would see stuff like, it might take a quick minute, you could see information like site right here, right? That seems important to see like what domain she visited, right? Since we're trying to find the domain, we're looking for site, and we could see all this information, URI path, etc. So what we want to do is get rid of duplicates, right? Because we don't want any of that stuff. So we could use the command dedupe, and then we could search specifically for site, right? So if you want to go through the documentation for dedupe again, simple explanation, it gets rid of duplicates. I don't really know what it stands for. It could be like delete duplicate. I don't really know.
That's probably what it is.
That's probably what it is, but you know, it just gets rid of duplicates. That's all you need to know.
Deduplication.
Exactly. So then, now you're left with this. And if you look at table, you could table it in for URL, right? That might be easier to see if you just type in.
Is there a way to just look at the names of the websites? Because like there's so much extra information.
There is, and that's what we're gonna do next.
Thank you.
Right? But if you don't really like know the SPL, you can just do it over here, and then you see the selected field. More so like down somewhere there. Well, if I hit it, I'm pretty sure. But we're not gonna do that since we're better than that. We're gonna pipe in another command, right? So what we're gonna do is table all of this information, right? So we're gonna table and site again. We're gonna hit enter. So this will provide a statistic, and it is a lot cleaner and more actionable, right? So if we scroll down all these 43 sites she visited, this is a lot cleaner than, well, 107 now. This is a lot cleaner than the 195 or whatever we saw before, right? This makes the data more actionable, and we could parse through it easily. So you can see Vindale, like we mentioned before, she visited a potential competitor, right? So if we look at the hint, look at the site values, and look for names of rival beer makers. So based off what we're looking at, what looks like it could be a rival beer maker. If she works at Frosty.
Berg beer.
Yeah, Berg beer. And then with this, if we hit it, we could just view the event, makes it more actionable. And with that, challenge number 1 is complete.
How did you do that with Berg beer? What'd you do?
If you go back into this, you're tabling everything, right?
Mhm.
If you just hit Berg beer and you hit view events, right? You're just gonna see this one event.
Yo, I can go on the Berg Beer website.
Yes, sir.
There, I don't think there's anything.
No,
it got
there is.
hacked. It got hacked.
No way.
Yeah.
Beerberg.
No,
No, it's beerberg.com, I think. No.
Nah, Berg Beer.
No, they did paste.
Oh, Berg beer. Oh.
We always
Dude,
forget,
red.
but usually forget. Oh, I get it.
It's the opposite.
That kinda
That's so
sucks.
clever.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't go on it when I was doing this.
Yo, you're gonna get hacked. For real. They're logging you.
That's pretty funny. All right. So moving on. Question. Like I mentioned, you guys have access to the PowerPoint. So if I don't go through any of these challenges, or you want to go through them on your own, you can. If you need help with them, you can ask me, and I could do my best to explain. I hope I'm doing. You could just uncover it like that, or you know, you could. I don't. If you download it, I'm pretty sure you could change the text color to white. But for the purposes of this right now, I'm just gonna leave it black. You know, hide it from you guys, because we do that. And then with that, question 2. Amber found the executive contact information and sent him an email. What is the CEO's name? Provide the first and last name, right? So do you guys want to try and go through this on your own based off like what we did?
Yes.
I'll try my best.
You can try your best, you
Try
know.
my damn best.
What's up, dude?
So like with SPL, could you actually like export those filters like into like an actual script and just like have those run periodically on like?
Yes, you can.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. You can do that. I know they automated like searches for some data at a specific time for us at what we did.
That's really could you run SPL queries from like another language too, or like does it have to be like an SPL? Like do you know what I'm trying to say?
No.
Like-
It has to be specifically for Splunk, you
Okay.
know, if that makes sense, because they have their own like set commands, functions. What's up?
So, you're probably just gonna give this away, but is there a way to search for all email-based words or like types, or whatever? It's
If you
called?
need help right now, you could uncover the hints.
Okay.
It gives away a lot if you uncover the hints.
Sure. I'll look at
You know, you could just quickly.
Don't take a hint yet.
Got it.
But like I mentioned before, it's similar to what we did before. You have to get rid of all this. Maybe go back to Amber. You know, a lot of going back. You could hit again. There's a lot of interesting fields you could view. There's a lot of interesting views that fields that Splunk itself finds that could be of interest. You know, maybe we could do email, you know, something like that. You could see event type if you need, I don't know why. Receiver email, sender email.
Go ahead. Whoa. What are you doing?
Yeah, I have to get that.
What the hell?
If you hit more fields, because since Splunk itself will automatically extract interesting fields based off the raw data it ingests,
Yeah.
you could just hit more fields and you see something like this. And this is like the list of fields that it could view, right?
Mhm.
So that's what we did before based off like source IP, client IP, stuff like that. So we're applying what we learned in challenge 1 to challenge 2 now. And using these interesting fields could help you find like specific values or top values that are of interest. So, I mean, I wanted to mention, since you guys were asking about sensors before, right? If you guys want to take like a minute to take off the challenge, you know, eyes up here. An interesting thing about Splunk is you decide when Splunk will ingest the information. So based off like the sensor. So what we had it as was we would feed Splunk our data for the day between like 6, because you know that's when people get off. We would feed it in the morning, and you know you just choose when you decide Splunk gets the information. And I just wanted to put that out there, you know, because
Feeding times for the beast.
exactly you got to feed the beast. You got
Keep
to
it
periodically just give it some information that you could use to find malicious activity. You know, you can't just keep searching the same day expecting to find anything. You know, let's say nothing happens today. What about tomorrow? You got to keep ingesting. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's pretty self-explanatory too, but you know, you guys could go back to the challenge now. Right now it's 3:07. I'll give you about like 3 minutes and then I'll go over it, okay?
We need both the first and the last name?
First and the last name. Of the CEO.
Okay.
Remember.
See the thing is-
This question asks for CEO's name.
How do you add, like I have a field that I want to add, but I don't know how to add that directly.
I'll come figure.
Okay. So I found a field that I think is my voice, well, I just want to add this and then figure out. If
Okay,
it
so
might be one of these.
you already have the check, right? So then now you can hit
Sure.
the X.
Wait, so, because I hit the check, it adds it automatically?
Yeah, so you scroll up now. No.
Where's that?
That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
And then if you hit like someone's username specifically,
Okay.
then you could view what you need to view.
How do,
Server
does
error.
it, is that up there?
Yeah, it automatically adds it. So if you get rid of
Okay.
it.
Really good work, but I think this guy's shit went down.
Wait, I think I found him.
No, I think he shit went down. That shit's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
You see what it did there?
Yeah.
It automatically
I
hits
think it went down.
receiver.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
I think this did not do that after the story.
No. You're close though. You're close. How we doing, boys?
I don't know, we're trying to bypass server errors.
Yeah, I guess, or
Maybe that too many people are like querying at the same time.
Yeah. Me and Tristan don't need to query. Yeah, we can do it later.
You know, yeah, exactly. If you're getting like crazy server errors, if you want to try it again later, at a later time, you can do it by yourself.
Elon was running.
Did I get it?
Weird. Bless you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll keep looking. Huh?
I was looking. If you go to,
I mean, cause I'm just looking for like percent.
if you change your view again from table to the list,
Sure.
you could see valuable information easier that way.
Okay.
You see, like, the body to look at.
Oh,
You
sure.
could read what they
Okay.
said and stuff.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course, you know, that's a little helpful hint.
Okay, so
Shit like that.
I think you just gave me the answer. Maybe?
No.
No? Okay, cool. Well, I'll just
You guys want to look for some, like another hint is you're looking for the CEO, right? In the message body, there's going to be something that says CEO, of course. You know, that's the only way to like know.
Oh, why is this
Little helpful hint.
It's so important.
Yeah, I think the Sam's class 4 is working too.
It's body.
You would not be looking at source IP anymore.
Destiny.
No. You could just do Amber again now. Since we're looking at Amber's information, right?
Yeah.
Source IP was only looking for the site she visited. So you could just do
Oh.
that. And then once it loads, it loads.
That's one of the new Splunk conditions for this.
Okay. Maybe that would have been better, but
I feel like they already have like a working one that gets us
for bots, maybe.
Like already losing.
I just found this one and I thought it was OP.
Yeah, but let's see if they're helpful.
But you see, it works after a given amount of time.
Yeah.
So you like
It does, yeah.
you could just keep looking through interesting fields. You know, if you find something interesting, or an easier way to do it is go through more fields.
Oh, I didn't see
Oh, that helps so much.
Just search it up. What kind of field you want, you know?
Now I'm weak.
I'll try for the longest.
Alright. I'm gonna go back up.
Can I ask you one question though?
Yep.
Cause like,
I'll be here.
We'll try for the
I just wanna do this more efficiently and I can't, I just, how do I find this?
I don't know if that's possible.
I can't just search CEO, enter?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
You might be able to. I'm not too sure on that.
Underscore raw maybe?
I don't think so. But
No? I'll try my- I'll
an
try my
easier
best.
way to do it is, since you know the rival company, like let's look at the hints, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna look for the emails to Amber Turing, right? Since she's in contact with this CEO, right? So we're gonna find the emails from A Turing that were sent to the domain from question 1. Because we know the domain name and we know her email now, right?
Is there a way to like? This is probably like a really bad, stupid question. But like, can you just search for like a specific like character or string? So like, if you're looking for like email addresses, like in the filter, could you just like have it be like string, like
CEO.
the @ symbol, and like
Yeah, that's
have
what I
it
was trying to look for.
turn?
Well,
Yeah.
we already see from those interesting fields that you could see like what emails we could put in. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with this, you could look at source type equals stream SMTP because you know it would definitely utilize simple mail transfer protocol, right? So we could use that, and we could keep filtering. You know, we could keep simplifying it essentially. I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy without even doing that. If we just do Amber, we select our fields because we know she's the receiver end. Usually a CEO would put it in a signature, right? That's what you would automatically assume. Right guys? Automatically assume CEO is in signature. So you could do email. Let's see what we see with email. So
Bro,
we
how
could
is
see-
yours loading that fast?
I literally, honestly, facts. So he's like searching this coin up, and I was like, what?
So you see receiver email and sender email, right? So if we scroll back up, after we check that, now we have it over here. And we know the receiver email is Amber Turing at Frothley. So we add that automatically. And now we have all of this. And now we could look at specific sender emails, like who sent her an email. So since we know that it came from berkbeer.com, that domain, we could either search through one event. You could see the count, like the amount of email exchanges that they sent her with that one right there. Do you see that right under count? So since there's only one event of each, it's simple to just go through each of them. You know, that's what I would do. So let's look at H. Bernhard first and see if he sent her anything. All right, now there's one event. So if you look again, you want to list out the information rather than viewing it raw, because no one likes raw information. You could hit that X. Now we view this. And where do you think we would view the message based off what we're seeing here?
Content body.
Content body, okay. So now we could read some stuff. Hello, Amber. Great talking with you today. Here's my contact information. Do you have a personal email I could reach you at as well? Thank you. Bernhard. That doesn't really give us much information, right? It's just giving us Heinz Bernhard. H. Bernhard is one dude. So now, what we're gonna try is the other email we saw now, right? Because based off this, we can't really ascertain like who the hell the CEO is. So now, since there's only 2 emails sent to her from that domain, we could now view the other one. Mberg at Berkbeer, and then content body again. Hello, Amber. Great to hear from you. Yesterday is unfortunate the way things turned out. It would be great to speak with you directly. I would also like to have Bernhard on the call, as I think he might have some questions for you. Give me a call this. Where the hell did I go? Give me a call this afternoon if you are free. And then we're gonna see if you are free. Martin Burke, CEO, baby.
That's
Okay, how did you figure? Whoa, but like, I would not have seen that. Because there's like so much extra
Can you control F and stuff?
shit.
Yeah.
now.
You can control that.
Nailed it.
But like, how do I know that that's just not like an address? Because there's like A0, A77 right after that.
Well, I mean, you could automatically assume like some of it is machine code. Some of it is gonna get lost in transition, or it's gonna get extra in transition. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I found this email earlier and I like skimmed through it and was like, nah, that's not it.
See, that's the thing about a
I
thread
was just like
vector.
really frustrated that you found it right there.
you gotta look very minutely.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
pinpoint stuff that you have to look at.
Because I looked up, what is it? Chief, and I was like, nah, that ain't it. And then I looked up CEO, and I was like, nah, there's too many extra things.
Yeah,
That's
if
kind of
you do a
frustrating.
command F on like these emails itself, you would have seen CEO probably.
Okay.
But it is important to look, you like read everything thoroughly to spot these things. Brandon?
Since yours is working, can you go back up to your search?
Of course.
Can you change? So when you did source type equals stream SMTP,
I didn't do that. You don't really need to.
right?
But
I didn't get anything back. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to use source port to equals 25, and I was getting a server error. I wanted to see if that would get back the same SMTP
So-
traffic you got.
here's source type stream SMTP.
Yeah, so I was wondering if that would yield the same results as putting source port equals 25.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Let's find out.
So here we have 26 events, so 26 emails sent back and forth. So source, what was it you said?
The SRC port equals 25.
SRC port. Is
Well,
it
underscore,
dot
yeah. Underscore port.
port?
I think that was it, right?
Oh shit, a lot.
Oh no.
Interesting. Okay.
No.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
again, we could probably view through like interesting fields. Let's see.
Maybe it's because Splunk only sees SM. That literally would make no sense. Why would you not?
It could just be processed differently. I'm not sure how it
That's
works.
that's what I'm trying to think.
I don't know how it works.
So it's
Like why? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Interesting.
Interesting. Maybe they're using something else. I don't know. I can't really tell you, but you know, I do it based off what I see on interesting fields because it's easier for me, you know.
It's true.
But if you get better at SBL, since we're doing just like basic stuff, this should suffice for now to get you intrigued on Splunk, and so you know like the power of Splunk, what it could do, etc. All right. So now we know the answer to this. You could see the query I ran, or what we do by clicking each, and you would find Martin Burke. Everyone good on that one? Okay, this next one is a lot easier since we did all the hard work already. So after initial contact with the CEO, Amber contacted another employee at this competitor. What is that employee's email address?
Oh, that was the Bernhard guy.
Yep, that is the Bernhard guy. So if you do send your email, you would see him right here. That is his email. Done.
Got him.
Got him. See? H. Bernhard. See, that makes things so much easier now that we did like 2 things at once. So, what is the name of the file attachment that Amber sent to a contact at the competitor? I'm gonna let you guys do that one, because based off like what we have, it should be easier again. Alright? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give you guys like 3 or so minutes. You know, like I said, it's all repetitive based off looking at interesting fields per se, until we get like moving on to like the crazier stuff, which it doesn't get too crazy, because I know like after like the first 10, it gets to like another level where you have to know like behaviors and patterns and all that stuff. It might have been interesting, but for the purposes of this workshop, since it's like a beginner level, we're gonna just do the beginner stuff, okay? And if you need help, I will be walking around because I don't want to sit. And also, if you need help, if you want to uncover the hint, you can. You know, I'm not gonna stop you from uncovering the hint. It's a good hint. I'm pretty sure you guys won't need it. So. You got that bad boy?
You done?
Dude, this guy's crazy.
This guy's nuts.
Oh, I think I got it too.
Oh, come look.
This?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You guys are good.
Google is my Google is my right.
Yeah, I can allow it.
You should look through an interesting field to see what kind of
It's a type
fields
of
that Splunk extracted.
probably feeds. You feel?
Just as a hint.
It is a thermal, please.
Yes, you did.
It is a baker's yeast.
Simple, right?
It's what they put in bread.
Also,
Oh.
Yes. Simple. If you want to hit it and then be like.
Yeah, species of yeast that has been instrumental in winemaking, baking, and brewing.
Yeah, you could have, but it's gonna take longer.
What's the
Doing that, you know, there's only one entry. Like if you
It's just a bunch of random shit.
just be like, what was sent, right? So.
yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
Can we find that building in files?
Yeah, you can go to content type.
Wait, how do you there's only one counterfeit, right?
If you go to content body, and if you do list view, you can scroll down under content. There's content body, it's a bunch of jumbled. It's in base 64, but I'm sure if you threw that into a base 64.
Oh, you guys are doing the next one already?
Oh no, I'm just looking at what's in the content. Is this the next question?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Alright, well, just read that out.
So, most of you already got this one, so I don't think you guys need me to explain it much. But for the purposes of the video, you know, for Tristan,
Yes,
I will.
thank you.
So, again, we're gonna look through Amber, and we're gonna see her as, since this asks, Amber sent an attachment, she's the sender now, right? So A Turing. And then now we're gonna look at interesting fields again, right? So we're gonna look at attached file name since we're only looking at the name of the file attachment that she sent, and there's only one of it. So it's called whatever the hell this thing is, and that is the answer.
That's why.
And that makes sense with everybody. So moving on. Question 5. What is Amber's personal email address?
Easy 15.
Easy 15. You guys got it.
Easy 15. Can I do it sometime before I show you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can look back.
Okay, it's right here. Sorry, I just lost it. It's in here. It starts with it's where you created it. Is that it? No, that's
No,
Worker.
that's
Oh, okay.
Worker guy. I know you had it. No, that's her.
I literally, it's in this thing here. Give me a second. I'll find it
Okay.
again. I'll find it again.
Do you think, bro? Do you think?
I really
It's
just
easier
saw
if
it.
you view it in list view rather than.
Okay.
Oh, this
That's
view?
like command F again.
Is there a way to do that in here already? Or do I have to throw it into this?
For base 64,
Yeah.
you have
like a way I can do
no,
this
you
in
have to
this?
decode it.
Okay, I can't do format.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, no, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you though.
It's not that hard too. Just so
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
it's not that, you're right.
There's mad info.
So if you guys want a helpful hint, remember that in the previous previous challenges we saw that Amber
I got
was
it.
like, I will give you my personal email address. So that's another helpful hint.
Personal email address.
Yeah, I got it. Right under email me from now on out.
So I gotta live
Yeah.
inside the
Cool. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Who is this real? Like, this is just such a good, like, story.
Yeah, you know?
Did they make this, like, did they actually, like, someone went on and was like, let's make some time?
You know, if you remember Brandon's forensics workshop.
Yeah, I never went to that.
Oh, you
Wow.
remember?
I was out.
Ah. The video is not up either.
Put that up.
Block that out.
Tristan.
Since this is for purposes of training, and like I said before, they use this data set at Splunk, right? SplunkCon, where they use this as a CTF like thing. They created a data set like this.
Yeah, but that's
They just use it like that. So someone does create this essentially.
Being paid to be like, all right, you're writing the story. That's so
And then put
cool.
malicious activity in it.
That's
right?
so cool.
Or not even. This isn't even malicious, I would say.
Oh, this is malicious. She's stealing company secrets. Or
I
she's
guess.
selling company secrets. That's malicious. Very nice, America, yes. I like America.
What? No.
So I'm searching for. I don't know if I have all.
You ever seen
the
Borat?
indexes loaded, or
That's not what I said.
No, but have you ever seen Borat?
No.
Here's a hint. Why
Well,
would
she's
she
talking
be
about
the
real stuff.
receiver of it?
See.
If she's the one gonna have to be like, yo, email me on my personal now, right? And then another helpful hint
Hit me
is
up. Just
who
hit me
would
up.
she be sending that
Hit me
to?
up.
If the CEO was like, yo, contact my boy, right?
He's pretty nice. No match on Tinder.
what was it?
Burn hard at work beer.
Hey Ivan.
Yep.
Thank you so much for this workshop.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Such a fun.
I hope everybody's learning and finding some like use out of this.
I think I need to increase the amount of data. I was like, I had it set in So,
Yeah,
like, 1 to 10?
no event sampling, because that
Oh.
that gets rid of some stuff. If you didn't know that, because if you like scroll over like what event sampling does, enables it to search and return a number, a random set of events.
I'm curious.
What's up?
Is this the file?
That is not the file, but that is interesting, right?
Oh, is this gonna come up?
It is gonna come up.
Oh.
You're like right there. Is what I'm gonna let you know.
I'm not looking for the person. I'm just looking at this stuff. See what I do. Is it encrypted?
Is it encrypted?
I'll figure out.
Results.
That encryption looks familiar, does it not?
Oh, I know who it is. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
My boy.
I thought I was looking for. I thought it was like the file.
Yeah,
because
it
I thought I was
says
looking at like
B64.
like
Yeah.
asking if I.
It also says.
No,
are
you
looking at
already
this one?
you already
So
found the
this
file.
one it actually
Like
says it too.
what the file
Oh,
name she
I was
sent
in.
us.
I was
right
in
up
the
here.
carbon. That's what I was looking for.
It says encoding type.
Why I get no results?
Wait, what are you looking? Yeah, it says right here, content transfer encoding, basic SQL.
Yeah, it's just. You could do it like that, or like I said, the easier way to do it is just to go through interesting fields, so you know you don't like.
Oh, we messed up the syntax.
Yeah, that's probably where you got caught up. So you could just hit the check, hit the check, hit the check.
Oh yeah, my track record.
You need a laptop.
It's time, bro.
I need a lot of these.
So, like we said before, she would be the sender of it, right?
Oh,
Yes. A turn, and then
you got me.
the
What?
receiver would be
You want that?
H. Bernard, right?
Yes.
And then now we could look through the content body, right? And what does that look like it's in?
I think.
Oh, yo,
That, I did it yesterday. I finished everything. If you want to read my paper, you can. If you want to watch my PowerPoint, you can. I presented last week.
Why did you tell me?
Oh, because you weren't there, and I just thought you didn't care anymore.
So I didn't care.
You ran into the same issue as Tristan did, right? So we're gonna
Yeah,
reset
watch
over
your
here
mouse.
now.
She said it was
So,
okay. I put your name on the
we're
slide.
looking for Amber's personal email address. If she's emailing from her work,
But I did not put your name on the paper.
where would she send her?
Because I talked to her
Who would
about
be
it.
the
She's like,
sender
"Oh, it's
if
fine."
she's
You
like,
can just put your name
oh,
on it.
here's my work
But so do
email.
I just send it separately?
I don't know.
I will.
Yeah, so she would be the sender,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So if I want to like give you my phone number or my email address, I would
Please
be
read
the
the paper.
sender.
It's kind of cool.
I will.
Actually,
So
I
in this
wrote it
case,
really
She
poorly.
is the sender, not H.
Don't
Bernhard.
just take it with a grain of
Does
salt.
that make sense?
Okay. You just have to
And
read
then,
that and then it
as
should
I
be
told
it.
Tristan again,
Okay, you should read it though. 'cause
the
it's like
CEO
our notes,
mentioned
and I want
that
you to learn.
she should contact H.
I'm very
Bernhard, right?
Uh-huh.
And not him.
Very grateful.
So it's easier to do it like that. It's not extract new field, it's already an existing.
What do you mean?
I know it's annoying, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Is it not possible to access the file?
I
For
don't
you
think
guys
so.
do?
I think what it is all it is it's a raw. This is like
Okay,
the raw
yeah.
packet. You know, we're dissecting the packet kind of thing. So I don't
So
really.
it's not actually logged. Right?
I'm
I
just
would
gonna
ask him
go
though.
over.
Is there a way to open the actual file, like original file?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know.
probably not logged. It means way too much data. Right?
Yeah.
That would be a
like
lot of
if,
data.
if you're sending information,
Yeah.
stuff like that's. I know for like IDS, IPS is like they actually do keep like how you could retrieve that file
Oh, wow.
off the sensor. So I know like Endgame, if you find like a malicious file or something, you could actually download it
Mhm.
and upload it to FireEye or something, and they'll identify if it's actually a virus and its
I don't
behavior.
think I got that shit.
Right? So for question 5, what is Amber's personal email address? Let's look at the hints. The hints say look for emails sent from Amber Turing. Again, because if you're sending an email with your personal email, your personal email address, like let's say I'm at work and I want to send you my phone number, I would be the sender of that email. So you're going to review the bodies and review the email with base 64 encoded text for the body and decode it. So if you go to sender email is her again, right? And the receiver email is H. Bernhard. You could look through both of them and, you could look through both of them and read like what the hell she sent, but it's easier to know that since, why the hell would I send a CEO more contact information if he told me to contact H. Bernhard, right? So it's easy to, it's like think common sense. So you will look at Scroll down and you'll see content body again. And wow, this looks like very weird stuff. You could automatically assume that it is encoded, and you could automatically, some people could see that it's like base 64, or you could automatically assume like most commonly it would be base 64. So if you decode it, you would see right here, Amber's the best at beastiebeastie.com. I don't know what the hell that is, but
Let's go to it.
let's send her an email. Beastie. Let's go to Beastie now. Let's see if they got hacked.
Oh, what?
No, they real.
Yo, that's nuts.
They hacked it
About us.
You're not gonna lie, it sounded like.
We are not local.
I was gonna worry,
That's interesting.
Wait, can you actually?
They look pretty legit.
They do look real.
It's probably real. Like all this stuff is supposed to be
Dude,
real.
go to the Facebook. This has
Find-
gotta be.
Find them on Google Maps also.
Yeah.
They're real!
Wait.
It's
what?
supposed to be real.
Yeah, that looks pretty
They're
legit.
freaking, they look so real.
I'm pretty sure they're real. They gotta.
Let's call
They
them.
probably use
No way.
There's
Hold
no
on,
way
there's any
it's a
pictures
real
of faces?
Beastie
Oh, what was
Beastie
it?
is a real company.
But their site isn't. They don't have a.
Dude!
There's
look at the
reviews.
first commercial! Look at the commercial.
We gotta watch it.
Look at the
No
commercial.
way, this is way too much.
This is
effort.
real!
It's real. That's why it has to be real.
There's no way they went this deep. They did not go this deep. They have their own products and everything. Yo.
Maybe it was like
No,
a
it's
shout out to
all
Yeasty
fake.
Beastie.
Nah, it's literally
Either
it's
that-
just real.
Either
look,
that,
both
or they're
comments are
like
from a year
really
ago.
well funded.
They can also fake that traffic too. They can make it look like the email went there and never did.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Yeah.
it was also like, oh, here is my personal email address. So it's not like traffic from that email address. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? So, moving on. That was question 5. Question 6. What version of Tor did Amber install to obfuscate her web browsing? Answer guidance, numeric with one or more delimiter. Alright, I'm gonna let you guys have fun with this one. You guys have about until 3:41, I would say, like 5 minutes seems good. You know, you could look at, again, interesting fields. Seems like a good thing. Is everybody going strong with this? Like nobody's burning out or anything? Because we could take a quick break if we need to.
Oh, I'm good, bro.
Alright, you good? You good? Everybody good? Alright, just
Burn
making
it
sure.
up.
We only have like 3 more questions or challenges anyway, so it should take about like 15, 20 minutes and then we should be done. You know? Again, if you want to go home and do this yourself, at the end I have a Drive link to the questions and answers and hints on Drive uploaded for you guys. So, just put that out there. You guys want to have fun?
I'm not even gonna, I'm gonna figure it myself.
Remember, in the SPL, you could search through processes. So that might be easier itself to know that you can search through processes.
What do you mean process?
So what I mean by, since we're looking like, let's look at something like Amber Firefox.exe. We can look at traffic that way, right? That's a that like gives it away, essentially.
Okay, got it.
So, you know, you can look at processes like that on SPL if you want to search up processes. So, again, if you want to get deeper into SPL, you're going to need to know like more pipes and stuff, like what you could do more deduping if you need. But for these challenges, you shouldn't need any more pipes. Just the first one needed dedupe just to make it cleaner, so you can find the site easier, in my opinion. But want me to put the challenge back up or this page? I'll put the challenge back up. It's easier. I'm gonna give you another big hint right now. If you look at interesting fields and you click that specific field, it's not gonna give it away right away. So you gotta look a little deeper into it, all right? And I will be walking around.
I gotta look at him.
Okay. There's no hint for this one.
There isn't? Oh, hell yeah. That actually makes me feel so good. I hate hints. I really do.
I gave
'Cause I
you-
always use them.
With that big hint I gave you, you should be able to find it.
Thank you.
No. Do you remember how I showed you how to look at processes, right? So what would a tour process be?
Is it possible just to search all processes?
That's not very
It's not actually narrowing.
yeah. So I mean, if you want to do that, and you want to look for like what the process, a tour process is called.
I mean, I could Google it.
I mean, you could do that, or you could just automatically try,
That's fair.
right? Because if you look over here, they're like autofills essentially.
Yeah.
You can look at it,
Okay.
and it's simple like that. And then, like I said before, interesting fields is it's a very good thing. We're not looking at Firefox in this case. You want to?
Would it be easy to get it? What would I do?
Yeah, that is a very good idea, right? So you could get rid of that and just try that, right?
Would I just do that? Is that good?
You could try it. Try it if you
That's
want.
a simple one. Okay, come on.
But if you want to look at specific processes, since you know it's like a Windows machine, you just put .exe. But either way, it would extract like similar stuff, or if you put .exe, it's more specific, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. And then the most important thing though, 'cause getting hung up on one project.
Yeah, you're going down like a rabbit hole essentially. So you just gotta work your way out of it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I gave you like knowing how to search through processes was like a really big hint for you guys. Bro, it's not gonna tell you the version just like that. Come on, you gotta look harder. You're not looking through each of these.
I am looking through them. Because I know what Tor works, I know it's not here. Looking for like a registry thing.
That's definitely not it.
It's not a registry thing.
It's not version 4. It's not version 4. It's not a registry thing.
Are you capping?
Think about when would a version pop up install? Like, I mean, she asked,
You mean during
what
installation?
version of Tor did Amber install
I mean during installation.
during installation? Did you command F it? Oh wow.
It's kinda like-
Ah!
Wait, how did you
There
pop
we go.
that? Oh, they
It might have been on a separate page. You
yeah,
never
yeah,
know too.
yeah.
Was it on a separate page or?
What do you mean?
It's the same.
Because
No.
there's multiple pages. Because not all events fits on one page.
I only got 2 events with all my things I put.
Okay, or you could do that.
So basically, you can just be like dumb, like just put like all the keywords in there.
Yeah.
It's actually OP.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's fucking amazing.
It's OP.
That's nuts.
Literally, just put all
That's
the words.
really crazy.
What's OP? Yeah, it came back.
Can you imagine
If you
having-
put,
This is why the name.
if you read the question very like hard, you would know what SPL to type in. You see? So what version of Tor did Amber install?
Ah.
So you already know she has a version of Tor.exe, but now she installed it. So knowing that Splunk ingests what type of information, you can know that installation would get logged as well. So you could just query through it. So I'm gonna go through it now, because it seems like a few of you don't have it yet, and it's 3:44.
No.
So don't feel bad about it. Once I put the SPL, you'll probably feel dumb. Just gonna put that out there,
No,
but
I literally just started this. You wouldn't make me feel dumb.
okay, exactly.
I'm still learning.
We're all beginners, so
I
don't
never
feel
feel
dumb. You know.
It's
All right.
always
So
fun.
since I told you guys how to like search through a process, we know that Tor.exe would be searchable, and if we look at the question again, what version of Tor did Amber install? So if we look at Tor.exe, you could look through. We could look through version as an interesting field, right? So then,
So broke.
like it does all the work for you.
That's so
Oh
broke.
wow, that's kind of cool.
So then you could just hit, there's only one of each of these, right? So it's easy to just look through, and then you could just see, if you look at this event, right? You could look at data name, GUID, process ID, data name, image, and then you look at this path, right?
Oh, 7.04.
Yep, 7.0.4.
Okay, but what's the difference from version 4 and version whatever the other one was? 3 was?
Version 5.
5. Like what if I just was like, oh, like how did you know that it was one over the other?
Well, if we go back to over here, right, and you hit version,
Yeah.
the way I like to do things is to do it like thoroughly rather than like just like, oh, I already found the answer, I don't have to look at the other one, right? So if we look at version 5, let's look at what information we get. Looks like nothing, realistically. It looks like
Oh
GLI.
yeah.
Right?
There's no final name or really anything like that.
Right, exactly. Or you could do something like what Tristan or Brandon pointed out. So like, let's say you know that she's installing Tor.exe, you could just type in install.
Okay, so I did that and I got nothing. So that's kind of frustrating that you guys got something.
Did you specifically search Amber?
Yeah, I did.
This popped up nothing?
Yeah, I must have just been a server error or something.
Wait, why is it that
Oh,
you
that
put
even
your
has it.
time range just lasts 24 hours instead of the old stuff?
Because like I said, if you type in earliest equals to 0,
Uh-huh.
it supersedes whatever is on the outside.
Oh, okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I don't have earliest over here, this is not gonna come back with anything.
Yeah.
Right?
So why earliest? Why not
It's good practice to type in the time frame you want.
So, our minds are being blown back here. So we decided to try and like see how much we could like dumb down the queries, and so we went back to the beginning and like leaving it as like index and like leaving index and earliest equals 0. I just typed Amber and then like CEO in like all caps, and it brings up the email.
Oh, screw
Yeah,
you.
I literally
I
typed,
didn't know that either, but see, we're all learning something.
bro, I typed index, whatever, earliest, and then I put Tor version, and then it came up.
Bro.
If you drop that
Bro.
install, it drops it. So like,
Okay,
Are you
so
kidding?
like open up.
I'm sorry I led you in the wrong.
No, you're
No,
fine.
you're better.
It's good
You're
that
probably
it's
better off
awesome.
doing it the way he's doing it. We're just trying to see how powerful Splunk is.
Wait, so why
Like,
does
how-
that
Splunk is
why does
literally
that
like
work?
amazing.
Why
We're
does
seeing
that
how dumb
work?
we can be.
Yeah.
Why does that work? Why can't I just put in CEO or install or?
Because we're looking through like information that includes Amber and it includes the term CEO. So I guess it's taking it in as a string.
Whoa.
It's
index
amazing.
ready.
Whoa.
It's amazing.
Splunk is so crazy.
It's very powerful.
It's so
Software
intuitive.
spread.
Exactly. It's intuitive and
It's nuts.
it's really simple in my opinion. It's
Yeah,
like
whoa.
it's like simple to use that it's like, wow. Why the hell did I not
It's
learn
like,
this?
it's
Well,
like
hey,
when you
we
first.
stuff.
It's like when you first learn Python. You're like, why doesn't everything work like this?
It gets harder, so I'm just gonna let you guys know that. It gets a
Cool.
lot harder, like you guys are
Cool.
gonna have to like search through mad fields, like, but we're not gonna get there. But if you guys want, like I said, I give you the data set with the questions, answers, and hints that you guys could go through by yourself. But we're not gonna get there, so. Alright. A little bit more interesting. So, provide the IP address of the system used to run a web vulnerability scan against brewertalk.com. now knowing that SPL is stupid strong, we could do whatever the hell we want, right? So, I'm gonna lead you guys a little bit. Brewer Talk, okay, I spelled Brewer wrong. Talk.com. And I'm just gonna leave you guys there. Alright? Cool? Alright.
I know what to do.
You having fun, man?
Right, that's what it is, right?
BrewerTalk.com?
No,
Like,
We have to take Amber out.
what is that?
Oh, did you guys take Amber out?
Like,
Because it's not Amber's traffic, it's just Brewer Talk's traffic now. Because it's being run against the server, not Amber's running. Make sense? Yeah.
What's the question?
What?
We're going in the PowerPoint.
What,
Yeah,
vulnerability
okay.
scanner.
It was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe I should have said that.
This is a vulnerability.
If you guys get a little stuck, the hint is like, it gives it away, essentially.
Okay, don't get away.
But knowing how a web vulnerability scanner works, it's like a big hint itself, alright? So it says provide the IP address, so it's one IP address as well. Not multiple, just one. Me?
Okay. Looking at the user agents.
You think that's the next question? I'm gonna stop you there.
This hasn't moved this.
No. Nothing to do with that.
Interesting.
You're finding an IP address, dude.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find the traffic that was the scan. I'm trying to find the scan first and then link it back.
I mean, I guess you could do that, but that's like, why wouldn't you search through like the IP addresses and look for like what kind of traffic?
Repeated traffic, right? Repeated traffic.
Because
You mean like repeated traffic?
yeah, that's a big hint. Like I said, knowing how a web vulnerability scanner works, stupid hint. Yes. I don't know if you guys already have like my fields that I typed in prior.
It's getting a lot of 503s. I feel like it's this one. This one's getting that 503 error. It's the other one getting that 503 error as well.
Well, I see this since we can't get request
But I'm not too sure as of yet. I have to go back and see, just to make sure. Just give me one
Yeah,
second.
yeah, this one's looking for application space or something like that. Yeah, this one. Does he answer? It's probably.
I'll double check your answer.
Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I didn't get it.
I had them.
I think I might have gotten.
I was looking for this. I was looking for one that had the most like 503s. So you can probably go to the services and take.
Only because it's. Alright,
You filtered into one.
No. Okay.
I did.
Thank you though.
Yep.
Well, I went through.
You might be looking at the wrong field as a hint.
Wrong field? Okay.
Wrong field.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Look, yeah, no, go down. And then add source.
Oh, I
Fuck that.
Oh,
I did that one first. And it was bad, like repeated traffic.
Yeah, I did this, sorry, when I added.
Like they're all around the same size too.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
have.
when I added Cloud IP, the one that had the most traffic was 70, but I don't understand, like, the difference between client.
We're finding your API for you.
Yes, there's a lot of different things. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what the difference between stream and source. That's what
Oh,
I feel
okay,
like-
okay,
I feel
okay,
like
okay.
that's
I think I got it.
questions people ask, but I feel like this is easily answered. Maybe because for different types of traffic, there's different ways of classifying. Because we think one thing, it's the same thing as something different.
I think I got it. It's for the, I just was searching for the wrong thing. That, because it's
Yep.
for like 9,000.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I said,
Yep.
I'll explain it.
No, I get it. I know how. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's anything, but there's just looking through it, something.
So looking at this window.
So
Alright.
this, maybe the next one. The
Yeah.
most active one.
Exactly. Makes sense, right?
So that's the answer?
Well,
So
if you
that's-
wanted to, that is the answer. But if you wanted to look,
For the reason?
if you want to look for the reasoning, you could look at like the body
Mhm.
and everything, and then you would see like what the hell it's doing.
I got it.
What
He
would
got
you-
it, but
What would you be looking for to be doing? What should it
Yeah, this
be
isn't
doing?
closed.
well,
No.
if you uncover the hint, like what I said before, the hint is that a vulnerability scanner keeps repeatedly attack the website, right?
Okay.
So
So
you would know that, yeah,
Sorry.
since it's like repeatedly, you would look at this top IP address, and then if you look at like the body of it, you would see that it's running like, it's getting like 404 errors, I believe.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
since everybody's there, I'm just gonna go over it with the class again. So uncovering the hint. App scanners are often noisy and therefore easy to detect with automated correlation searches. Drill down into contributing events if you can. Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned before to everybody, since we're already here now, and we're looking at provide the IP address that used to run the web vulnerability scanner, right? We're gonna look at source IP, because that's what is running it. And since we know that vulnerability scans are often noisy, we would automatically look at the top one and see what the hell is going on with this one, right? Since we hit that, you already see that this is now the search query. Like I said, as you get better with SPL, you could automatically type in source IP equals to that rather than looking through interesting fields. I like looking through interesting fields because it's like very intuitive.
It's
you know what I'm
there.
saying? It's there, and it's there. You know, why would I type anything if I could click it? So, if you see over here, let's look at destination content. We're seeing internal error. So that's one example. Destination header, 503, service temporarily unavailable. And it just keeps continuing that flow, all right? So we automatically know that this is the correct IP address. See, just like that, boom. So the IP address from question 201 is also being used by a likely different piece of software to attack a URI path. What is the URI path? Answer guidance. Include the leading / in your answer. Do not include the query string or other parts of the URI. Answer example /php info.php. This one, if you want, you could uncover the hint. It might be a little difficult without it, but knowing the IP address from 201 is a big help. Well, not like, you guys don't know question 201, but it's the previous question. Knowing that is a big help. And knowing how like, again, this is like leading into like behavior and patterns. So knowing that is also a big help. But I will explain it in like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You were on the right track before.
I got it already, yeah.
Oh, legend.
Just read this. Read the, what's it called? That's right. It's Splunk.
But there's multiple URI paths. That's the thing. If you look at like, you just look at, because
Change the URI, right?
there's also like mad URI paths.
Yeah, but I feel like that would, yeah, that's the one, because it's the lockable.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just
Yeah.
saying there's multiple.
Yeah, I know.
But you were looking at the HTTP user agent before, right? And there's multiple user agents.
Yeah.
Right? There's 2 of them, and since you know that, you could just look through both of them and see which one has in common. Which URI path is in common with just memory. That's the way I would do it. See, this one has all this still, but the other one only has memory.
All the other ones only being used for that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. fire.
Legend.
It's fire. It's fire. This is broken. This is broken.
Splunk is amazing.
Yeah, it's broken.
Oh yeah, look, and then if you just like dump, if you just.
Is there a hotkey to collapse all fields?
I don't think so. You can Google it. There might be.
That makes so much sense because like when you look, when you just take out the extra query and leave it as that, like number has the most events, then it's like that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, and do it with the contents, providing using passwords, and then it's getting 503s or access.
Mm.
How they make this?
But why would anyone use Elk? Like, Elk is like, I worked with Elk. Elk is like shit compared to this.
This is amazing,
This
though.
is ridiculous.
Just because it's free.
It's honestly, it's worth like every penny.
Okay, as of right now, you could unlock the hint. All right, I would just unlock it right
Thanks.
now.
Hint unlocked.
I'm just gonna uncover it for you guys right now.
Thanks.
If you guys don't have it up.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, dude.
So it says analyze all HTTP traffic from the scanning system to brewer talk and inspect the different HTTP user agents. A different HTTP user agent often indicates a different HTTP client program was in use. For each HTTP user agent, inspect the URI that the user agent is interacting with. So this hint gives it away. But I'm also gonna, in the next slide, I have like what an HTTP user agent header is.
What
So-
is a URI?
I don't remember what it stands for, but it's like some kind.
Universal Resource Identifier?
Yes,
Okay. So it's just the path of a website?
essentially. Like,
It's like a URL, but like, is it more? It's more specific.
you just append it to the end and get somewhere. Essentially.
Sure.
So an HTTP user agent is a request header that allows a characteristic string that allows network protocol peers to identify the operating system and browser of the web server. It's just me, it's not hot in here.
It's bad
Because you're on
hot.
fire.
I'm so cold right now.
How are you, Club?
I'm wearing all of my winter regalia right now. I could literally not get any warmer. I mean colder.
So,
God, wait, I can't lie to you.
for time purposes, I'm just gonna go over it, right? Now that you know what a user agent does, you already know what IP is attacking the system. So knowing the user agent, we're gonna see like the operating system and browser of the web server, which is a brewer talk, right? So now we're gonna
Box.
I have no
Yo,
idea.
Ivan, do you know off the top of your head how big the Splunk data set is? The bots v2 data set?
14 gigs. It's 14 or 16.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
But
I gotta understand.
like I said, there's
Like,
there's the version that only has malicious data, which is like 3 gigs. So we're gonna look up HTTP user agent, which is right here.
Wait, where do you get this select fields thing?
If you hit 6 more fields, and then
Oh, okay.
It's
can
only
just-
when you have more than X fields. you
yeah,
do that?
when you have more than like whatever the hell this is, you could just click it and then
Yeah.
search it. You know, pretty intuitive. So now that we have user agents, we're gonna look through. Wow, this looks interesting, right? Which one? This one has the most, so we're gonna look at it first, right? Now we're gonna look at, since we're looking at URI path, we're gonna look at that. After this thing decides to load, so URI path, and we're gonna see this one has the most. As Brandon mentioned before, if you look at it, if you actually look at this specific URI path, you're gonna notice that what the hell it is. Boom! Only member.php is income.
Could you explain the reasoning all the way through to get here? Because I got lost at URI, the HTTP user agent.
Okay, so as we know before, it's a request header that allows to find the operating system and browser of the web server, right? That's what a user agent does.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what the header does, right? So if we go there, so we're gonna stop right there, and we're gonna look through like what type of HTTP user agents we have.
Right.
Right.
But how did you know how did you know to look for a user agent from the what is it, the URI? Because I'm getting that the URI is in the URL. Is it not?
I'm pretty sure you can append it at the end, but it's only asking for the URI.
I just don't know what the URI is.
Okay,
I guess
so-
that's what, I just don't have the background. I mean, I looked it up.
So
and-
let's look up what a URI path is.
Yeah, I looked it up, it just didn't.
String of characters that identifies blah blah blah, could be empty. Essentially, you could append it at the end. If you go through the actual URI path itself, you would see where it got appended.
I just don't understand the concept of what it's getting appended to. Is it the URL or, because you're saying it could be both, but it's.
It could be, it's appended to the
very-
URL at the end, so.
Oh, so it is appended
Yeah.
to the URL, okay.
But Splunk will specifically extract just that ending.
Sure. Yeah.
And since we know, we're only getting this URI, these few URI paths, because we're specifically looking at brewer talk.
Okay, so then how did you know to look at your HTTP user agents?
Because we know it's being run on the brewertalk.com, so we're gonna look at what operating system browser it has of the website. So, does that make sense? Like I said, unlocking the hint.
No, definitely not from the original question. No, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had to know more background information, and I just don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of like, you need to know like the background of it, essentially, if that makes sense. But just unlocking the hint would be a great help. Would have been a great help.
Oh, I didn't want to look at him. I just wanted to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But even so, like even if I had looked at that hint, I would have been like, well, how did they get the user agent?
Well, if you even just look at another great hint would have been just like, let's look at the URI paths and look at what's most recent, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's at the top of it. If you go through, you would just hit member path, member.php, and then let's look at the information in it, right? So we're seeing all this stuff, right? We're seeing a SQL injection actually, which is going to be helpful for the next question, as well as this. Does that make sense? I'm looking at all these different headers and all this information, and we're knowing these are only associated with member.php.
Sure, I would have stopped at just getting member.php.
If it works, it works. But
I mean, I just don't know.
if
what
you
else
wanted
is
to like
helpful.
be more in depth with it, you would have hit member.php, and then you would have seen just these two HTTP user agents. Like knowing like what traffic goes to the specific web server would have helped as well. Does that make sense? Can anybody else explain it better than me?
What was the question? What?
So like why
Why would we use
HTTP user like how? I just don't understand the
Because-
concept behind why you just went to user agent.
Because the user agent tells you like the browser version and stuff like that, and so
Sure.
sometimes
But
that's the first thing I looked for, because sometimes a lot of tools. So when we did our log analysis workshop for HSI, a lot of tools like Mmap and stuff like that. Sometimes usually tools, when they want to be stealthy, they mask their user agent. So it'll say, oh, this traffic is coming from a new version of Firefox. But sometimes it'll actually tell you the name of the vulnerability scanner.
yeah, but that's not what my question is. My question is a little bit before that. Like, so I knew about the user agents. I knew about that before this,
Yeah.
but I don't understand why that applies. Why do you have to know the OS just by finding the URI? Like, you don't need to.
Oh, you don't need to, but it's like it's a way you would think about going about something. There's multiple ways to do it.
What?
There's multiple ways to go about it.
Because you
I'm
couldn't.
not asking a question. I'm not asking the question well enough, I guess.
Because you
Probably
could have
not.
easily hit URI path and just like went through the top hit and then go through like what is in the body, you know?
My mind, I didn't read that, and my mind immediately went to that first.
Like, are you
If that
saying
makes
just
sense.
how could have known to use HTTP?
Like what? So I mean, we're looking for a URI path, and like that's just in like.
Yeah, but but we know that
So-
there is a attack being run against something.
So
What user agent is running that attack to narrow everything down, and then I can see what they're doing. So I can look at all traffic that came from that user agent that was running the attack.
But the use so. But
Because
the-
there
does
could
the
be one,
user
because there
agent-
can also be one IP with two user agents on it.
But does the user agent contain the URI?
No,
The fuck?
the user agent is a field of that entire event.
It's on that web server.
So the member.php, whatever which you're supposed to find, is in the same event as that user agent, so it correlates. Because it's
Okay.
just another field in the grand scheme of things.
Because
Okay.
if you look at it in like a raw version, there's all these fields that could be extracted. There's destination header, destination source IP, all that stuff are in each raw text field. Does that make sense? Each event has all that information.
Within the event, the user event.
Yeah. So
user-
for
HTTP
example,
user.
if you knew, like, if you just happen to know how many bytes this thing transfers to try and run that attack, you could use bytes, and you could still be looking at the same event.
Okay, so you knew that before this, you knew that the user agent had the URI embedded in.
No,
when it fetched
they're
the,
two completely separate things, but
Well,
they're part of one whole thing.
when the user agent fetched whatever in
You're-
that fetching thing.
You're focusing too much on like specifically user agent, like what Brandon.
We're only using user agent as a filter. We're looking for one specific person. So
Because
we're
you wanna
using
like
that to filter
pinpoint
out.
each thing. and
We're
then find
singling
that
out,
specific information.
so we figured out which one was doing like malicious things, right? So we're singling it out, and then we're looking for everything that one particular user agent did. And in
Okay.
that, we can look at what it's querying, and it's looking for that URI path.
Alright.
Okay, I'm just gonna move on.
Like
I'll get it
the
eventually.
user agent is
Sit on it
not-
for like 5 minutes, you'll figure it out.
I'll sit on it. So wait, but we didn't know what the fuck is going on. Okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we didn't know anything, but like that's just my logical thinking would be to do that. Just to look at everything in a clean and organized way.
Yeah, it's like, that's what you want to do with Splunk. You want to query down to like a specific thing that you can pinpoint and find.
Yeah, so,
That's
okay,
why
so-
SOC people use Splunk so heavily.
Right, but so did we know the IP address that we were looking for?
Yes,
Yeah.
but that IP can have multiple user agents behind it. Like Pace has one IP, right?
Yeah.
How many people are using a
Oh,
browser
right,
on
because
Pace?
it's and whatever it is.
Yeah.
That protocol I can't remember what it's called.
So just
Got it.
because like the whole goal, this is the same goal as Wireshark, is to get as narrow and narrow and narrow and narrow as possible. Because so you're not looking at a bunch of junk and you're looking at which one.
And you can see what they have in common again. Like
Sure.
we checked both these user agents, they both had member.php in common as a URI path. So that's what they were attacking.
Oh fuck. Okay, I understand now. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Yes.
I got it.
Alright, I'm gonna let you guys work on this one. I gotta go put money in the meter.
Okay.
This one is really simple. Knowing that what we found, just look at the body, look at that SQL injection that I mentioned before. You guys will find it, and you guys should be good. All right?
All right, thank you.
It's very simple. Just think about how like a function is typed in.
Don't
You guys-
hesitate, go.
All right.
Hello? Yeah. Who is it? Who? Oh, yeah, what's up? Let's take over.
Should I?
Read what he does first. Let's see. That's like really bad. No, it's trying to dump the database, but the dump database needs a correct login. So that's what it's trying to check the login too. There, fish.
Ooh. Ooh, look at this, stanky.
Huh?
It's stanky.
Your phone?
Where did you park?
Open the file there.
Right in front of Pace.
Oh,
Pace Plaza.
What car do you drive?
I have a Lexus.
Beep.
That's good.
Thank you. It's not mine. No, I'm driving my sister's right now.
okay, got it.
But I also drive a Lexus. She drives a Lexus, I drive a Lexus.
Who's Alexis?
My sister and I.
Lexus is your girl.
Alexis, bro.
Oh,
Alexis.
Couldn't afford a car, so she needed the daughter, Alexis.
That one of them for about 6 years. We're not looking at your iPad anymore.
Fuck me, dude. I did this again? Okay.
We're looking at SQL now, right?
But it said from question 2 too. That's a serious question. Well, your friends? Literally, what am I doing? So what am I starting off with? What do I
We're
start
also
with?
looking at,
I
you
think
can
I
just
did. I was pretty good.
back up here, and now we know that your iPad was member, right?
Yeah.
So we could filter out member and look based off that. What SQL function? Right? If
Okay.
you scroll down on the body, you're gonna find a SQL injection.
Sure.
And that's a big hit in itself. So now you're only gonna find the function that's being abused. And
Okay.
and I could describe what the function does, but the hints does it as well. So
She's out of breath, bro. You're right.
so I ran.
Don't you have a grace period?
I guess. It was like 5 minutes past though.
I feel like,
I thought the grace is 15.
No, it's like 5.
They probably just sit there like.
Stupid.
oh shit. Don't relax.
I think it's done for. Look at the light.
What was that sound?
You know what?
What's that?
So what's the function, Tristan?
Right there, chief.
Where? The specific function.
Oh, up there.
Oh, yeah. Natalie.
Yeah, I've even had it before now.
You just ran like all
Yeah,
out
you just came right
square.
back inside, like you're gonna be
Yeah, I don't want to take off my glasses.
Once you run, you get inside, like you start burning up.
Yeah.
So by now, most of you should have found the SQL injection attack. Now all you have to do is find the function that's being ran. What you guys know from Java and Python or whatever, you guys should know how a function is being passed in as a function. That should be a good explanation. Is that a good explanation, Tristan?
Yeah, it's literally a function call. Like you could see it. Like as long as you've done like some bare minimum programming,
Yeah.
the function call should stand out.
So a SQL injection attack, it bases off like a database, right? So you choose from what database you want. You could choose a specific filter like where, and then you do something else. I could explain it better when I pull up the injection attack. If you guys want me to start going through it, I can. Like I said, this is the last challenge I have. So if you guys want me to, I can start going through it.
How does one wondering, did this come from like a book or?
It's from Splunk itself. They have like, it's called Bots v2, Boss of the SOC database, dataset version 2. So they come out with one
That's
near,
what bots stands for.
yeah, Boss of the SOC,
Alright.
the Security Operations Center. Like I said,
I'm wearing socks.
SOC centers often use Splunk to query and find a specific event, like for malicious activity. Right? So,
Can I check with you if I got it right? Okay, so this is the only thing I can find. So only because I saw this and then
and
the
do you
only
think
other.
that's the function?
I'm guessing because there's like
And
that's
you're
the
right.
only function I see.
You're right.
Okay, cool.
That's all
But
there
there's
was.
like how would I know? Because there's like 188.
Well, if you look through the next one, you would see that they're
Oh,
all
they're repeats because it's a. Right. It's the.
It's the scanner.
Scanner. Right.
So they're all repeats.
Oh shit. Thank you.
Anybody else need help? Or should I just start going over?
Vamos.
Alright, I'll
Almost.
start going over. Most of you got it.
Have you ever played
but,
catch?
What?
So I'm just gonna start going over it, right? So, SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it is used to interact with relational databases like MySQL. Or like Brandon and Lisa, you're in our database class, Access. Some common terms in SQL include select, where, from, and join. The select field is you're selecting the databases. Where is a specific something, I guess. From is where what tables you're choosing it from. If you know like the structure of the database, you choose like you select specific fields from this table. Does that make sense?
It's
Right.
just relational database.
Yeah. And then join is meaning relationship. Where is specific, where something is equal to something like that. Simple. Okay, so SQL injection vulnerabilities arise when a programmer does not properly check user input for characters that might have an impact on how underlying database queries assembled in his or her code. A single code character provided as an input to a web page is often a telltale sign of SQL injection attack. All right, knowing that you would often find SQL injection attacks by like returning a true statement and then dropping a table or something after that. You know, something like that is a telltale sign of a SQL injection attack. That's how they most likely occur. You have a statement that equals to true. To avoid this, you could do input hygiene. You could prevent them from putting a single quote, for example. That's a good way. Yeah. So XML is one of the many data formats that can be stored in a relational database like MySQL. Some SQL commands in MySQL database can be used to produce an error that leaks database content. Look for a SQL command that updates XML. Okay, so that hint basically gave it away. If we look in any of the member.php one, you would see this right here, right? So it is selecting the Q field from any table, from whatever table that's called, joining that. Those are not really important. So the telltale sign right here is where. That's where your SQL injection attack is most likely going to occur. So equals to one, quote one is equal, returns a true statement. And SID, whatever. What is important over here is this update XML. You could see that is in like a function type thing. A function is getting called there, essentially. So you would know that that's the function, the end. Yay!
That makes sense.
Alright. If you want to know directly from what it does, if you see like right over here, substring select password from the users. So you could automatically guess like what it's trying to do. Who wants to explain what it's trying to do?
It's trying to dump all the user passwords.
Correct. Alright, and with that, here is the answer. If you need to uncover it, same thing. Up here is the query I ran, and then you just search through, like I said. Over here, you type in this drive link. I don't know if I enabled sharing right now. see if I did. Does it automatically do it? I don't really know. But, let's see. Like, remote computer. Okay, so you guys have the link. These are,
It works.
okay, it works for you guys. So you guys could download the questions, hints, answers, and you guys should be set. I know the SAMS class actually has a like tracking thing. So if you guys actually wanted to compete and see how well you could do without like just doing it, I know you could.
He has a scoreboard app.
Yeah, he has a scoreboard app, and you can do
Yeah.
that. I didn't do it. Time purposes doesn't really matter to me. I don't want to let him know that we're using it.
Who is this?
I don't know, some dude in like Cali, some professor in Cali.
You made like a bunch of questions.
He didn't make the questions. He just has an instance of Splunk and bots running.
Oh, cool.
So you could actually, you could download the enterprise version of Splunk yourself and run it, and it'll be a lot faster than what the hell we had.
Yeah.
You get 30 days.
You get.
Well, no, it's 90, I think.
I'm pretty sure with bots v2 you get however long you want.
Oh, because it's indexed already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, you should be able to use it for whatever, for only bots though,
You get
only
the
for
range
only
like
bots,
that
since it's
for
their
90.
data set. If you're trying to ingest from your own sources, they're gonna limit you. So it's only with bots. So if you wanted to play around, you know, you can learn it, you can. But yeah, any questions? Fun?
Yeah.
So much fun.
Beautiful.
As I mentioned, also it gets a bit more difficult with like the SPL you're gonna have to run. So Google's your friend, documentation's your friend, and you should be good. Let's see if it opens.
Oh, okay, then they're clapping.
They're so
Oh, think. I don't really want to download it, but you could see like this is the format of each sheet. The question is over here, and you could just expand it.
1,000
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you were to unlock hints, they like waste some of your points, but you know, for us,
They do.
since we're learning, whatever, doesn't really matter.
So what do you just run?
So
How
yeah,
do you run this? How do I interact with this?
you don't.
You won't if you set up Splunk right, you won't actually need this, like these CSVs and stuff like that. Because like you'll install the bots v2 dataset, and then there's another app that you can install that already has all the questions and stuff like that.
Okay. So
For-
this is for. What is this for?
Splunk.
First of all,
No,
these are the
okay.
specific questions for that data set.
Sure.
But if you do it like how Brandon said, you already have it built in.
Yeah,
But since
that's what
we're
I'm
working
saying.
off someone else's instance,
Yeah.
I want to have the questions separate.
Okay, cool. So this is the. Got it. This is a separate. Okay, cool.
So since I'm not the one hosting it, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any of that up for you guys.
Got it.
So
Got it.
you could just download it and view it for yourself, work on it. I'm pretty sure this guy won't mind because he's a professor, whatever. And you know, have fun. That's essentially it.
Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
Yeah,